Hello and welcome to the Creative Career Change podcast with me, Hannah Ash. I make my living working simultaneously as a music teacher, an interior designer, a writer, a podcaster and more. You can read more about me and my work on Substack. Visit shayhanny.substack.com. That's Shayhanny spelt Chezhanny. Today, I'm joined by fashion and textile designer Carla Bentele. Carla, a really warm welcome to the Creative Career Change podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. And could you start by just briefly introducing yourself?
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I am Carla. I am a fashion and textile designer, but probably don't want to put myself into a box. So I'm going to say like all-round creative maybe covers it. If we're going to get deep into all about me, I recently had a horoscope reading and I was literally blown away by it. It was so accurate and it was like a manual to me. Like I'm a Virgo, so I've got that kind of perfectionist trait. But then I'm also like Aquarius moon, Scorpio something, which means I've got like this chaotic creative side to me. And I'm constantly, since being self-employed, overthinking. But all these little traits were like in the horoscope reading. And I don't know if you know anything about horoscopes, but where my sun was positioned it's called the 10th house, it was saying that career is really important to me. And funnily enough, the lady that gave me the reading couldn't believe that I'd called my business All About Me. And it was basically everything to do with like me, my creative process, poetry, illustration, and everything I kind of wanted people to see me as. So it gave me the confirmation that what I'm trying to do is all written in the stars and that I'm on the right path. So yeah, that's like the in-depth version intro of me. I've also got 2 kids, boy, girl. I am with my creative other half. We met at uni and we lived together in West Yorkshire in the Green Hills of Todmorden, and both work out of our creative studio, both separate creative businesses. But yeah, that's where I've started All About Me.
Fantastic, thank you. And at the moment, how do you currently make your living and how long have you been doing that for?
So I sell art prints and fashion under my little brand All About Me, which is like an independent design studio where I create playful illustrations and eco-conscious clothing for baby, kids and adults. So I like screen print and lino print, hand dye all my fashion. It's kind of messaging that all embodies like individuality and like empowering messages that kind of give you a boost. So things like no one is me, positive behavior, and you know, people can match with the adults and kids if they want to. And then yeah, the art prints are like celebrating the little moments in life. Like my recent trip to Sicily last year on a child-free holiday where like I illustrated the whole holiday in paintings and then brought that back. So like the zesty taste of a Sicilian lemon, or when we went to an oyster and wine restaurant, they're all just like sweet little moments that, you know, make life happy, celebrating the little things in like our chaotic lives.
That's brilliant. Do you know, before we started recording, I was on your website earlier and I was looking at your art prints, and the ones that really piqued my attention were some of those Sicilian inspired ones. In fact, I've got one up on my other screen here because I was going to ask you about them, but you've kind of already answered
Oh,
my question
right,
there.
okay.
But I love the Buongiorno cafe print and the spaghetti chic. That was
Yeah.
amazing. I love that one. But I thought you've in those images you've like captured those feelings so well.
Oh, thank
I'll
you.
put some links to your website and those all of these things that you've talked about in the show notes so people can look at them if they want to. But I love the kind of how much life there was in those images that you were that you have on your prints and things like that. So yeah, really love those. Love all the colours as well. Um,
Oh, thank you.
so you run your business. How long have you been running your business for?
So it was kind of born out of COVID.
Right.
Initially, the plan came together on my first maternity leave in 2018. I'm originally from a fashion background, so did a fashion and textile degree, worked in fashion, kidswear design up until COVID when I was made redundant. But yeah, just going back to my mat leave, I had this baby and I was like, I'm literally doing my dream job, but it was working in London, 3 hour commute. And I was like, I'm never going to see my child. And there's going to be like lots of work trips. That was like literally everything I based my whole life on. Like I wanted to do the travel. I wanted to go and work in the factories in India and China. But then like my priorities kind of changed. So I kind of came up with this loose business plan of like, how can I create a flexible career? I was going to baby classes. I was like, maybe I could create like well-being classes that also incorporate like a fashion brand on the other side of it. Just like my mind was like, what can I do? What can I be? And I was telling anybody who would listen. And then the reality of it is that I went back to my job and, you know, it's too scary to leave a great pension, well paid job. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go back to it. And then 6 months later, COVID happened and I got made redundant. So that's when like the wheels in motion started. And I decided to make my vision board come to life. Um, so I initially retrained doing baby yoga and baby massage, tree babies. And I wanted to create like baby classes that focused more on like the parent and that were like bringing a cool vibe, not just that were like all gooey and baby led. Like I wanted to bring that kind of fashiony, fun side to it. Um, and then I did that and started teaching and then fell pregnant with my second child. And then I was also trying to do my fashion. And I was like, oh God, I don't think I can do it all. So I made the decision just to focus on like the illustration and the fashion side of it. Um, which for my own mental health, as much as I like wanted to carry on doing it all, I couldn't. So that's what I'm currently focusing on today.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting that you've gone through a few different kind of possibilities of stuff there because and a lot of people that I speak to in similar sorts of situations where they leave um a sort of regular job, if you like, a kind of salaried job, whether it's by choice or by being made redundant, like your situation, and then end up kind of like, trying some different freelance or own business ideas. But I think it's a really important point to make to anyone listening that sometimes it is important, isn't it, to kind of go through the things that don't work out for you or you decide aren't the right pathway for you because it helps. Did you find that the baby yoga um ideas, did that help to kind of maybe focus where you've ended up now a little bit more because you worked out what you didn't want to do?
Yeah, I think for me, like ever since I was like little, I wanted to be an artist or a fashion designer. And it kind of really threw me losing my job because people say, oh, do what you love. And I was like, I've always done what I've loved. So I was trying to like soul search what else could have made it like fashion wasn't in the same climate that it was in, and like nobody was buying denim and outerwear at the time, and I couldn't get another job, and obviously I also wanted the flexibility around my family. So because I'd had such a great experience on mat leave going to cool classes and things, I think that's why I went down that route. And I spent quite a lot of money on the training and time, but I had the lady that ran it, Gail Berry. She'll like, one thing she said to me is, because I used to have coaching calls with her as well. She had like such a varied like career and did so many different training and courses, and she just said, don't ever regret, like towards the end when I was like, oh my god, I've wasted this money and time. I equally taught the classes and met loads of nice people that are still in my community today, that bought into my classes, but also like the ethos of what I'm doing with my fashion and my prints. And she was just like, learning, it all adds to you and your experiences, and don't see it as a negative. And so that really helped me, because I've since also went on to do a marketing diploma that I still haven't finished. And I'm a bit like, oh my God, I start all these things and then don't finish them. It's still in, I'd still ideally like to finish this course I started. But at the minute I'm just finding it hard to fit in. But yeah, it definitely did shape I think deep down, I just knew that the fashion and illustration was where I wanted to go. But as I say, I was searching, can I be something else? But maybe I can't.
But I think, it's interesting. You mentioned at the start, you said that you have like perfectionism traits, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
wonder if that, part of being quite hard on yourself, because it strikes me that you're being quite hard on yourself there. It's almost like you're saying, oh, I tried this but it didn't work out, and I feel like I've kind of failed on that part of it or whatever. But actually I don't think you have at all. I think what you've done is you've explored quite a lot of different opportunities until you're finding the thing that really speaks to you and really kind of works with your family life, your career aspirations, and the things that you're really passionate about. And actually sometimes it's very difficult to find those things until you try quite a lot of different pathways. But I just wonder how much you think that perhaps, because I sympathize with that, because I think I've got perfectionist traits too, and sometimes it can be difficult, can't it, to just like not finish something off,
Yeah.
or for it not to work out in the way that you in your mind initially anticipated it was going to. So do you think that has had a bearing on anything?
Yeah, and also when I go on about this horoscope reading, it's like word for word, it says you are your own worst enemy, you're inner critic. It's like your perfectionist traits make you like always question, you're really hard on yourself. And I was like, oh my God, this is me. And this is why, but it also was like you've got a really strong intuition and go with your gut. And so for me, it's like I feel like I'm constantly in yin and yang. Like I've got this person going, oh my God, you've not done that good enough. Oh, you've wasted time. But then the other side of me is like, no, it's okay. And you're growing and you're learning and you're doing what you love. So I think I'll forever, that's just me. That's what I need to accept. I'll forever be in that kind of limbo.
Yeah. Sounds like the lady who was doing the course, and you said you had some coaching with her, that actually hearing that from her, that she'd done loads of different things and tried lots of different things, it sounds like you found that really helpful to hear, reassuring that somebody else had done that and they were perfectly successful in what they were doing. And
Yes, yeah.
sometimes that reassurance is kind of what we need in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, and the last full-time job that I actually had, it had the most amazing learning and development team. So we all had like I was at management level. So I had like a work-based coach, like mentor, and like that was amazing, like to have that kind of role model uh, teaching, which then I could also pass on down to my team. I think that's another thing that I really like thrive off is, having that other support of other people.
Yeah, and actually on that note, that was one of the things I was going to ask you about. Is there anything that you miss about your kind of your full-time job when you're in that salaried job? What maybe apart from the obvious of the regular salary, that's probably the number one thing. But what other things do you miss about that?
Yeah, definitely working as a team. Like I am such a people's person. Um, and so I absolutely loved that, I especially working in fashion, there's lots of women. The At the last company I worked, it was actually amazing. We all cheerleaded each other on, and it was really empowering. And so I think working on my own, even though I've got my creative other half that I'm working in the studio with, who is also my biggest cheerleader, I think I miss that girl connection. So when I moved here, I actually started at like a creative mums night, um, which sadly hasn't quite carried on just because of life's twists and turns. But like I've got a good community of friends through that where we'd meet up once a month and do like a little creative project, have a wine, talk about like small business stuff. Not everybody was like, some people were fully employed, but there was other entrepreneurs within the group. So that helped, and we still meet up when we can. And then I think like doing markets. So just before Christmas, I started doing my markets, and I loved it. It was like, you know, getting that interaction, getting to see what people liked, telling people the meaning behind my products, and just like building that rapport with them. Listening to why they thought that, where they were going to hang this print, or like, I love that interaction. So yeah, that was nice.
And I guess actually that's a really important point with for the sort of products that you're making and selling, because actually you want that connection with people and you kind of want to know what it is that's driving them to want to buy some of those products. And I guess as an online business, it can be quite difficult to get that feedback from people. So I can totally get how it'd be much more buzzy to kind of be face to face with your customers and having the opportunity
Yeah.
to do that. Is that something that you plan to do more of off the back of those
Um,
experiences?
yeah, I'm definitely going to carry on doing markets. I mean, I've got big dreams. I want to, which is sometimes I think trip myself up because I literally want to do too many things. And then get myself in a panic, like, oh, which ones do I do first? Um, but like, I'd love to like collaborate with other like businesses, do more freelance. Um, you know, I don't know in what ways quite yet, but I definitely like to work, with other collaborations, other creative people. And I've got a handful of like ex-designers. It feels like everybody in fashion is kind of starting doing their own thing, but we're all like still connected and they're like, oh, should we do this together? Should we do that together? So I do have some things in the pipeline that yeah, some collab exciting things that
Well, that sounds really good. I mean, some of my work is as an interior designer, so I that's particularly I think why I was interested in all your prints and stuff like that because I
yeah.
was, oh, how can I use those? So who knows? Maybe we've got a collaboration
Oh
in
yay.
the future. You never know. Um, can I ask you about making that shift into freelance work? What were some of the practical kind of challenges? What changes practically in maybe in your home, in your life, did you have to kind of make to make this business work?
Well, I'm very lucky that like I've got my partner that's basically I'm not making enough money right now to be supported full time, and I've got that flexibility. But also as a family, we've chosen that, so I can do the school pickups. I still I've got, my son who's younger and at nursery, he's not in full-time childcare, so I still spend some time with him. Um, So like as a family, we've decided, to give me the time to try and do this passion whilst being there for the family. Um, I'm sorry, I don't know if I've answered your question.
No, that's right. No, that's exactly that, really. I just sort of interested in kind of, whether you had to, I think you mentioned that you share a studio space with your partner. Um, and yeah, exactly what you've just said about kind of how you carve out that time. But it sounds like that's quite good in the sense, well, really good in the sense that you can be there for your kids and to have that time, but also the time for you to kind of grow your business, but just in your mind as much as anything, to figure out what those things are. Because I know how that feels with my interior design work, that I'm like you, I have all these ideas and then I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I actually gonna one day I'm feeling really optimistic about it, or the next morning you wake up and you think, oh
Yeah,
my God, like I can't do all of that. That's just ridiculous. And then it's sort of sifting through that mess of your own mind sometimes, isn't it? To
yeah,
figure
yeah.
out like um what's next, I think. Um what what have been some of the challenges? I think you've mentioned some already, but are there any other challenges that you've faced since sort of making that shift from full-time employment to running your own business?
I guess it is. So I'm a creative through and through, right? So I'm never stuck for ideas, but I think the the boring business side of it is kind of what I sometimes struggle with.
Mm.
Um, just balancing all that side of it, really. Um, you constantly have to try and market yourself. So it's knowing like how to do that. Um, yeah, in a way where you're not too salesy. Like, how can you kind of tackle the online world? Because you're sat in your studio, like, hi, I'm here. And it's kind of like, how can I get out online? So that's why like markets are quite good. Um, but yeah, like managing your time, so to try and keep me focused, I've started using this year the Pomodoro technique, where you set your alarm every 25 minutes. So sometimes that doesn't necessarily always mean I finish. Like if you're drawing or you're having a drawing day, I'm not necessarily going to have finished a drawing in 25 minutes, but it kind of keeps me on track. Like you're kind of at competition with yourself. So when you're thinking, oh, I'll just go and check my Instagram, or just, it's like, no, I'm under time constraint. I can't veer away. So yeah, it's just about managing your time in the most effective way. I'm also like a real paper girl, so I've got post-it notes coming out of my ears. I'm actually dyslexic as well, so that also causes a little bit of chaos. And when I was in the corporate world, we were trying to forever work more digitally. So as of January, I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to start Trello and try and focus my work on that, doing cards. So I'd say I'm probably like maybe 80% in, still doing that. Um, yeah, ticking it off on the little cards and stuff. Also, really like planning. I did like goal setting at the beginning of this year. And I think what's helped me is planning to like 90 days, or, whether it's Q1, Q2. Um, because I've got so many ideas, it's just trying to break it down in like manageable, less overwhelming kind of goals to work towards. So I feel quite happy that I'm on track for my Q1. So yeah, it's going well.
That's really good. And I think, what you say about managing time, almost every freelancer that I ever talk to says, even if they've been doing it for a long time, I still think it's the number one thing that people find difficult. But I think it's especially true if you come from the world of doing a kind of regular hours job where you go somewhere and you sit in an office and you've got other people around you. And I know for me, I mean, I was a teacher, and so my days were very, very clearly mapped out of exactly where I was supposed to be at any one time, and so it is so different. And I'm like you, I've been trying the kind of Pomodoro method, kind of, set a timer, and I find that I have to put my phone on, if I put my phone on do not disturb or put it somewhere else, and really just focus on that one task in hand, it's amazing how you can kind of get your head into something and you suddenly go, oh, I've been doing it for 25 minutes. I want to carry on, even though you didn't want to start it in the first place. It's so much like mind over matter, I think, really,
Yeah,
isn't it, with a lot of it?
definitely. The mind is very powerful.
Certainly. You've mentioned your partner in all of this, but were your kind of extended family and friends, did you have lots of support in setting up your businesses? And I suppose I include in that the early stages or the different variations of your self-employment as it's gone along.
Yeah, I have. So yeah, my nana when I finished university, I so I worked in an independent clothes shop, and they were like amazing at supporting creatives. And I sold my uni collection in the shop and made little hair clips and accessories and things. My nana, who is like well, she's not with us anymore, but she's such a positive force of nature and so inspiring. She was also quite creative. We used to write poems together and we do a lot of creative writing together. She always said, "Oh, Carla, one day I can see we'll have a fashion brand. You should have your own business." And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm in it now, but like the most entrepreneurial person, like my partner, who's also creative, we met at uni. He has hated working for anybody and has worked for himself since we graduated. And that was like his thing. He's the free one, and I've always been the one with like the structure. Like I'm okay with, working for somebody, but also equally admired anybody that's worked for themselves. So yeah, like you asked me about the support. I've gone off on a
That's
right
okay.
old
You
tangent.
keep going. It's fine.
I think starting with my nana, that's always been in the back of her mind. Like, oh, she said it, she believed in me. So I'm kind of like, I'm doing this for her, and she's up there watching me. And yeah, I mean, my parents have always supported my creativity. My friends have too, but I've always been like the one with the coloured hair or wearing slightly different outfits to everybody. And yeah, I think my friends like that about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And because I think that's really important, isn't it? That you've got that network of people that are kind of cheering you on. And that's so lovely, your story about your nan and the fact that she's there in your mind. You
Yeah.
know that you're kind of edging closer and closer to that thing that she believed that you could do. And I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a lovely image. I just wonder how much you miss London, because you mentioned that you lived in London, and I think you were in London for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, well, so our dream, mine and my partner's, when we finished uni, was like get to London, because that's really where all the creative jobs are. So I'm originally from like South Manchester, so all the main retailers are in London. I do miss like the whole being able to be in the city immediately. Like we used to get on the bus at the end of our road, go to the art galleries. That was like our Saturday, just being immersed in that culture and walking down the streets and just having the hustle and bustle and just seeing what people are wearing. I do miss that, but also where we're located, it's like half an hour on the train into Manchester or Leeds. Um, so we still get that like fix of city life as and when we want to,
Yeah.
to go to the galleries and things. So it's still quite accessible.
Yeah, no, that's good. Do you live in is it a village or a small town? Do you reckon?
Yeah, so we live in a place called Todmorden, which you might have heard of Hebden Bridge.
Yeah,
That's
I have. Yeah.
yeah. So when I got made redundant, we were like, like it had always been our dream to get to London. So like we'd bought in London and we had our first child in London. But my partner then was like, if we leave London, we need an absolute new adventure, like something totally different. And so we'd been to Hebden Bridge once and started looking there. And obviously, if you've bought a property in London, when you move back north, you get way more space. And like the remit was that we had to find somewhere that we could have as our design studio within like where we work. So literally we had 2 weekends where we did some house viewings, and everywhere was going so quick because it was COVID and everybody was moving out of London to the countryside for a greener, more wholesome life. Yeah, we found this converted barn that had an outbuilding which was a piggery, and the person who owned it before was a music producer, so it was like already kitted out as a music studio. So when we moved here, we then turned it into our design studio. So yeah, it's like literally the perfect space, and it looks out onto the green hills, and like we're under a canopy of trees. So it's like all very mindful, wholesome living, but then still not being too far from the city, which is cool.
Yeah. It's very inspiring because I mean, I still live on the edge of London, but I think one day we might be kind of moving out at some point. And I'm always interested to hear people's stories because I think that kind of, the countryside and greenery and all of that kind of thing is like calling to me a little bit, and it sounds very inspiring. Does that inspire your work, do you think? The landscape?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it does. And just like, I don't know, the slowing down and working for myself with the kids, like that kind of forces you to slow down. And yeah, it's just nice to like have a lunch break, sit in the garden. Um, and when you're drawing, like on Monday, me and my daughter, it was school holidays, so we sent the little one to his nana's, and we had our own girly day, and we spent the day painting in the garden, and it was just like, oh, this is what makes it like all worthwhile. This is like the proper meaning of, why I'm doing what I'm doing. It gives me that flexibility. Yeah, it was just so nice.
Oh, that sounds really great. Um, my final question for you is, do you have any advice for somebody who's listening to this and perhaps thinking about making some kind of career change, or maybe just going freelance in the work that they've been doing?
Yeah, I think, well, if it's something completely different, make sure you really love it, because it's definitely hard work, and you you might think you're freeing up more time, but I kind of feel like I'm literally working every second. Like the kids go to bed, it's like, oh, I need to do my social media. Oh, I need to do this. So I think doing something that you really love and passionate about, like I feel like this is an extension of me. I mean, my brand is called All About Me. So it is everything that I love. So yeah, just make sure that you're in it for the right reasons. You're not necessarily gonna have lots of extra time.
I think that's really good advice, what you say, because I think it is easy to think that, oh, I'm going to be doing something different. It's going to be great. My life is going to be transformed. And the reality is, like you say, that especially if you start running your own business, every single moment you're thinking about it in some way. But I guess it's about, if it's a passion, then that can make it okay sometimes.
Yes, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very, very grateful for what I do in terms of like being able to be there for the kids, and all of that. So yeah, just and I guess the other thing is whatever you learn to do, if you don't see it as a failure like I did, don't do as I did, or whatever it is. How do you say it?
But yeah, it's collecting all those experiences and understanding that they are part of that formative process of kind of figuring things out, isn't it? Rather than it's like, oh, that didn't work, that was a failure. It wasn't at all. It's all
Yeah,
part of the bigger
it's
picture, I think.
growth, isn't it?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, Carla, thank you so much for chatting to me today. I am going to share all of your social media and website links in the show notes, so people will be able to have a look at your products and make lots of orders from you as well, hopefully. But thank you so much. It's been a real joy to chat today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Lovely to speak to you.
That was Hannah Ash talking to Carla Bentele on the Creative Career Change podcast. You can find links to Carla's work in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode and aren't already subscribed, visit shayhanny.substack.com to sign up and receive new episodes direct to your inbox.